Hello everybody and welcome. Today we're going to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2. I have a couple of points that I'm going to talk with you about and we can discuss. I'm not going to do any weird stuff like crying and be like, oh, this is impossible and all of the stuff. Personally, I have already bought the Switch 2. In Australia, it's available to pre-order. It's not sold out. Anyone can just go and pre-order the thing, and we are all chill about it. If you want to buy it, you buy it. If you don't, you don't. I don't want any discussion over that. Okay? But in this video, what I want to do is provide a little bit of perspective on why I think some things are happening. And you can tell me in the comments your opinion. Maybe I'm bullshit. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. We have conversation. That's why I'm making these videos. Anyway, with that being said, today the USB-C arrived for my Game Boy Advance and it looks cool as hell. Look at that. I mean, of course, it's not the same color. I couldn't find the same color for the cell, but it's really cool that you can just have USB-C charging in here on a GBA, and now like all the mods are complete. IPS screen, flash card, and you have this as well, and it's fantastic. Anyway, besides that, let's go back to the point. The point is Switch 2. Love it or hate it, Switch 2 gonna be successful and all of that. I can sympathize. First, I want to say I can sympathize. I used to live in Greece, and being able to buy consoles day one never happened in my life. I had to wait at least a year, a price drop. It was not expected that you would ever buy a console on launch unless you had a lot of money. And I never had a lot of money. So, yeah. Anyway, besides the point, moved here, blah, blah, blah. Here is way easier to be able to do those stuff. So I have no problems. Very lucky to be here and all of that. So, right now, the problem with this specifically is that we are seeing a lot of things that are being miscommunicated. Anyone making something on Twitter app, they just post it, they put it out there, and everyone takes it as granted. A lot of people do it right now to get clout and all of that. You see, even like journalists now is doing that shit. Like this guy, Jason Schreier, wrote a whole book about Blizzard, and instead of reporting it to everyone, he just decided to write a book about it, whatever. But you see like the bad faith on those stuff. So this guy goes out and says Cyberpunk on Switch 2 is going to run on performance mode on 40 FPS and it costs $40. Wow, this is terrible. And I'm like, first of all, like in my head, first of all, if you can run 40 FPS on 120 hertz screen, this is actually fantastic, right? Like if you know anything about Steam Deck, you know how this works. And everyone else tries to makes it appear that this console is completely trash because they don't like that it costs more money, right? And everyone right now tries to make it to seem that like this is the worst console, the worst company, anti-consumer, and all of that. I understand people want to grind. Who cares? Let them do their thing. Eventually, they will get phased out. So, in my opinion, moving past those things that I just wanted to mention because it just seemed terrible to me that people are doing this, especially like if you are a journalist or whatever. And turns out, Gene Park, there is another journalist for, I think it's for a newspaper, New York Times, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. And he turns out and says, "Hey, like this like build that we played was a very early build. They have only worked on this build for 7 weeks, which is a very low amount of time. And definitely, like what they're already doing is moved ahead, but they needed to make a demo." Now, okay, I know you guys are getting PTSD because that's what was happening in PS4. So I understand why people have some kind of, bad vibes about that stuff. But they seemed pretty confident that they can make it be way better when it comes out. So we will see when it comes out. But it just hurted me that they didn't even convey, supposedly journalists didn't even convey that this build was 7 weeks old only, which is not all at all like big development time. Moving past that. So let's talk about now my opinions. First, let's address the Mario Kart thing, right? In my opinion, all of these things with Mario Kart is because they failed to convey the information. In general, this whole thing was a shitstorm because they never really conveyed the prices right. You will see numbers from different sides throwing you. We didn't even get a real price on the item until later on. You had to go to websites, you had to scroll all the way down and see what's happening. In Australia here, the pre-orders dropped the same day, and you had to be awake at 3 a.m. To get your orders in. So weird stuff, man. But whatever. Like, I got the order. I don't care. Like, I got my stuff. I'm happy. But just to show you that this felt like very amateurish, like, or purposefully amateurish to kind of create the situation. But besides that, for MK now specifically, for Mario Kart Worlds, my opinion is that the price that is higher, for example, from something like Donkey Kong, is because they are planning already to do updates. I don't think Nintendo is insane. I can understand them getting a little bit greedier, be like, look, we have made all this effort. We could price the thing even more, but we're just going to increase a little bit the price on the games to kind of put them all near each other, right? You pay a little bit more. You don't pay more for the sub, but you pay a little bit more for the games, and you pay a little bit more, a little bit less than what we will normally charge you for the console, because the console seems very, very capable, and all of those stuff cannot really, like, those things that you may not understand, because there is a lot of people talking about, like, oh, buying this outdated hardware. But what really makes it be desirable, of course, it's first the portability, and also that is a hybrid, and that you can get specific types of software, like they have worked on with the mouse modes, with all of that. All those stuff cost money, they're not free. So they try to get money from you differently, indirectly, from just buying the console, because that's what they believe that it would be, like, worth it for them. So anyway, personally, I think that Mario Kart will be priced like this because they are planning a whole roadmap. They should have mentioned it from the start, and that's the problem, that they didn't. And you just see a card game and you are like, what is going on? Because before, for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you had to buy the DLC. This time, I don't think there is a DLC. This time, there will be a lot of extra content that you will experience because they're going to do updates and all of that. And they're going to time it however they want, those updates. But you're not going to pay any more money. I think that's why it is priced the highest. And that's why something like the Donkey Kong game is $10 less. This is my opinion. If you feel that is anything else, you can leave it in the comments. Now, my opinion about game cards. Game cards is a very interesting situation here. So, thinking about that is that with Switch 1, we get these cards, right? And what this card really is this thing on the behind, but inside it is actually an SD card, right? Imagine that inside is an SD card saying, "Free me, get me out." And this SD card inside costs a supposedly amount of money, right? And the thing is that right now, The Switch 2 is only going to support the SD card, micro SD card Extreme, which costs the cost the most right now. It's a new technology. Just like if you were familiar with the PS5 SSD, you had to wait to buy it because for the PS5, for the internal memory, they had it available, but for consumers, it was not available yet. So you had to wait to buy it. And for the PS5, that was different problem because you can buy a physical game. The game is in the disc, but you cannot play the game directly. You have to install it. Now, with the SD card, the cool thing is that you can just put it in and it plays the game from there. But because the technology right now is new and it costs way more money to get that SD card, that is really the problem. So that's why those companies, first Capcom, right? Capcom is like, I'm gonna bring you Street Fighter 6, give me $60 and you get the base game and the 2 season passes. You are pristine, you are amazing, you're feeling so good about your purchase because that was a good purchase. It's very good value to get the stuff for so low. And then you have this thing, right? That is lower price, you're driving, everything's cool. And then you realize that, oh, whoa, that is not a real physical game inside. And the reason for that is that they don't want to increase the price for the physical. So they're like, you get the digital key, which is a useless thing to have. So don't buy it. My suggestion is just buy digital and be done with it. But I'm saying all this is because right now you're gonna see it from a lot of companies. We see it already with Bravely Default as well and some other games. I think Elden Ring as well. They're not going to be in the cartridge. And because the reason for that is they don't want to increase the price of the game for the physical. So they're like, okay, we're gonna give it to you like this and you figure it out. If you really want to have the case and all of that for collection purposes. But the game is not going to be inside because we don't want to pay the money for the SD card. We already paid the money for us to make the port, to make improvements or whatever it is for specifically the Switch 2 in order to be able to be playable this game on the Switch 2. And that is really the catch here. That is really the thing here, in my opinion, that you are going to pay more because you want to have the data inside, and it's going to be this micro SD card that has inside the Express one costs more. Sure, it's not going to be the same money that you pay to get one, but it's going to cost money for them. They're going to lose money for having it in there. And I think a lot of indie projects and a lot of other kind of projects, they are going to lose a lot of money if they do that. And depends on the budget that the game and all of that has. They cannot, it doesn't make sense for them to lose money and potential purchases for it having increased cost to have the real card inside. And I think that's going to happen a lot. Now, you may like it, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. But this is the reality. Right now, we will have to be kind of still ourselves because for the next 2 years, this is going to be a thing, I think. And the whole reason for that is because these cards are damn expensive right now. Like 256 gigabytes, they cost in Australia $80. The only reason to even get it is through the Nintendo branded ones. Because everything else doesn't even exist even in Australia. It exists in Japan, it exists in Europe, it exists in, from what I saw, also US, and everywhere else, maybe you're lucky, maybe you're not. But at least the Nintendo branded ones in Australia, they are available to purchase. I bought one. And then after that, I'm just gonna wait one that is gonna be 1 terabyte when it goes eventually on sale, and I'm gonna get it like that. But that is really what I wanted to say here. I wanted to kind of convey my opinions on why these things are like this. And I hope that if you were wondering, I hope I gave you some context. You may think I'm right, you may think I'm wrong, you may think I'm bold and like I have no idea what's going on. Leave it in the comments. Let's have a conversation. That's why I make these videos. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day and see you next time. Goodbye. Gonna play Game Boy Advance.